Hey everyone, welcome to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's October, it's the 19th of October. It's 2016, it's a Wednesday. Sports are a little weak today. We have some preseason basketball, a little bit of hockey, just nothing to really dig into too deep. We'll be doing the football podcast tomorrow that everybody loves. So, gonna try to change course today, and I'm bringing in one of the hottest players in the DFS industry, if not the hottest. He hasn't taken down $1 million, but man, I think it's been close to that over the last month and a half. Tony, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. Happy to come back on a night where we can actually talk. I mean, we're in fun time of the year with baseball playoffs, football, but kind of on a Tuesday here, it's kind of a little bit of a dead time, so we can just chat it up a little bit.
Yeah, man, I wanted to bring you on. We met last year at the Playboy Mansion. I had no clue who you were. Being dead honest with you, hadn't heard much about Big T. We got to talking, and it got into a conversation about LeBron James, and we started chatting, and it took me maybe like 5 minutes talking to you, and I instantly knew like you're a sharp guy. Tell me about the background of you getting into DFS and everything like that.
Yeah, that was a fun trip too. Talking about that, we could talk about that for a while. But yeah, I mean, I've always liked sports, played sports my whole life, and I mean, even done fantasy. So I remember doing fantasy sports like in high school with a newspaper, like doing the stats on like a notebook during like home ec class or whatever. But so I've done that forever. And then when I turned 21, I started working in a poker room, and I did that until I was like 30, I guess. So about 10 years I worked in a poker room, and then I met CSU Ram Pete Jennings up in the poker room and talked a lot of fantasy stuff, and we became pretty good friends. And slowly I started just messing around with DFS stuff and had some pretty good success. And I mean, nothing huge, like nothing like life changing or anything, but had a few pretty good scores in football, and then just slowly started to get in my head that maybe I could do it for a living. I mean, when you got a good job, I mean, I was making really good money towards the end as the manager of the poker room and everything. So it was a tough decision and had to get with the wife and stuff, but it just seemed like a perfect fit from the beginning. And it was just something we decided to go for. And I couldn't have done it without the wife, though. I mean, she was on board from the beginning, which was a blessing.
Yeah, having a supportive person around you is just so key to being able to do this for a living. I'm more on the analyst side now. I don't play even close to the volume that I was playing last year, but just having that person that supports what you're doing is just huge. And you have kids. I have a kid, so like, it's a tough decision. Now, was that around last year before? Like, when did you make that decision to do it full time?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we got kids. I mean, I had a wife, 2 kids. We got a third kid on the way now. But when you got a pretty good job where you're supporting your family on it, and you go to the wife and you're like, man, I kind of want to play this fantasy sports, and I think I'm good at it, and I think I can make some good money. It's an interesting conversation to have, because if it doesn't work out, you're gonna feel bad about it, first of all, because I mean, all of us as men want to take care of our family and want to be the person that just takes care of everything. And it was an interesting conversation, but I mean, as well, I mean, I've done it for over 2 years now, full time, playing every single day, basically. And you're going to have some ups and downs, and it was just incredible to have her there. And even during the downs, like, she just never once said anything questioning it, even during the bad times. So I mean, like I said, I couldn't have done it without her, because that positivity is what really helps out.
So not every new player is just gonna instantly, be able to quit their job. Just do what you're doing what people are doing in this industry. Talk about like how fast did you pick up bankroll management? Like, how important was that to you when you were making this your living? Like, did you start working on bankroll management before that? Like, help a new user out that's has possible questions about bankroll management.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important part starting out. Obviously, I mean, I've never been the best with bankroll management either, just because you get on a little hot streak and you fire more than you should, and you learn the hard way. I mean, just from being a gambler most of my life, like can't tell you how many times you get on a hot streak and you get a little ahead of yourself and start firing a little too big, and the next thing you know, you're broke or close to broke again, and you got to do it all over again. So, I mean, I'd learned a lot of lessons even in the poker world and stuff before this, but yeah, I mean, just started slow and just play a lot of the $1 and $2 head-to-head games and double ups and try to hit a tournament here and there. And I mean, just how you hear people say it, I mean, it's definitely possible. And I mean, I didn't have like the $1 million win or anything. I mean, I think I won a tournament for like 50 or 60 grand in the first couple months, which was big, obviously, but still, when you're giving up that guaranteed money, like it wasn't life-changing or anything. Like some people win $1 million and it's easy for them, but I mean, I was more of the grind type person, and I mean, you just got to do it. You got to keep. Everybody has like a number, like 10%, 5% of your bankroll. But I mean, I don't think you have to have a number, but you need to just be able to play to where you're not worried about it. I should say, like, if you can lose that night every single game, and I mean, you can be mad because we're all competitive, but it shouldn't affect you like mentally. If it's affecting you mentally, then I think you played too high that night.
Yeah, take a step back, look at, everything that's going on, and maybe you're playing too much. That's for sure. All right, man, you went on this run. I kind of like purposely didn't ask you to come on the pod for like the last month and a half because I'm super superstitious. Everybody knows I played baseball. I'm a superstitious person. And when somebody gets on an extreme run, I just kind of like, I don't want you to change anything in your routine, whether it be the night before or, anything. You went on this massive run. Like, just talk about that run, dude.
I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. And I'm not one to like post screenshots or stuff like that, but it's just been such a sick, like 3 month stretch. I mean, there was one night in baseball when it started, it actually was, I didn't even win, but on DraftKings, it got down to where I was down in there where one at bat, if I got a home run, it would have won me $100K. And it just, ever since that night, like the very next week I won big. And then the week after that, I won big. And it's just like every single night I was having a sweat to win big money. And then, yeah, like one Tuesday, the Monster, I was right in there and I thought I was going to win the 100K again. And it fell off a little bit. And then the very next week, I came back and won 100K on DraftKings. And then later the next week, same thing happened on FanDuel. And it's just like every single night. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I thought it was just going to be a hot streak and cool off, but it just hasn't. I mean, it's continued right into football, and football's been incredible too. So I don't know. I don't want to jinx it either. So knock on wood, but it's just been an incredible run. I don't even know how to describe it. Like it just keeps going. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Was it 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago? Was it week 4, week 5? Didn't you take down the 1K on FanDuel?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And I mean, that was so like football the week before that, like I got second in a queue, which I was kind of disappointed in, but then I come back the next week and win the 1K, plus I won 2 Qs on FanDuel for the World Championship, the big one. And I got second on draft. The last 2 weeks I've got second on DraftKings for a seat. So I've got second 3 times in the big qualifiers too. So it's just been crazy. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. I keep waiting for the week where someone gets injured and I just get completely decimated, but it just hasn't happened. So knock on wood, and just the key is just to not get ahead of yourself. Like, I mean, we all get on heaters, we all get on down streaks, and no matter if you're hot or cold, just keep doing what you're doing and just keep working hard and just keep grinding. I mean, the funnest part, the reason we all do it is just, I mean, to make money, obviously, but we like the grind of it too. At least I do, and I'm sure you do. Like diving into the stats every day, deciding the plays we like. And I mean, I just love it. That's why it's not really work to me.
Yeah, man, like for sure. It's fun to dig into stuff like out of your control, and trust your process, trust the process of the sport in general. And like for baseball, being great in baseball, you only have to be good 30% of the time. And like people just forget about that aspect. And like, your hot streak has been insane. And we see hitters go on hot streaks, and, some people like it, some people don't. For baseball in general, like if you see a guy that just has been scorching the ball for like a week straight, is this a guy that you're just going to continue to ride? I know at one point in your stretch, Gary Sanchez made you a lot of money, my friend.
I mean, now that the baseball season's over, I feel more comfortable talking about all of it. But, I mean, a majority of my run was just playing hot players. I mean, everyone doesn't believe in hot streaks, but I sure do. And it paid off. I was just playing the Braves every day, and people laughed at me, but they just kept pounding the ball. Like Freddie Freeman's on like a 50,000 game hit streak. Every day he's getting 15 fantasy points, and they're just pounding the ball, and teams like the Phillies are pounding the ball. Gary Sanchez, every single day you're playing him. And then you got the guys like splits edges, like Wilmer Flores is facing a lefty one night, and I go all in on him, and just plays like that, and just simple. And like you said, hot streaks in baseball, I believe in it, and I believe in it more than ever, I should say. And I mean, look at Gary Sanchez, and you could just keep talking about it. Look at Javi Baez for the Cubs in the playoffs, he's their best player out of nowhere, and it's a hot streak. I mean, he's a great player and whatever, but he wasn't their best player all year, so obviously he's on a hot streak right now. I mean, I don't know how people can deny that.
Yeah, I was one of the haters on Sanchez, and I'm not going to lie. You look at his minor league numbers, and you're like, is this legit? And, I faded him, and I faded him, and it definitely cost me money. Like, it didn't, cripple my bankroll or anything like that, but, at just some point, you just have to accept that minor league stats are minor league stats, and stuff can change, obviously. And some people just get it when they get to that level. And, some pitchers don't get it. They can have massive stats in the minors, and then they get to the majors, and it's just like, oh, this guy is absolutely dudded. And, you just never know until it just starts to happen. So when you see a guy like Sanchez who just hitting home runs every night, he's seeing the baseball. The baseball looks like a volleyball to this guy. It's just one of those things. So, hot streaks, I'm with you, my friend. I definitely think that they're real. It's something that I look at as well, hard hit contact and all that stuff. Looking at hot streaks before they try to start to happen is something that I like to try to predict as well. My friend, you have a bunch of live finals under your belt now. A lot of, that happening in 2015, 2016. You've been to a bunch of them. Talk about it. What's your favorite one you've been to?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the favorite one for me was one of the Playboy one, the NBA one last year, where everyone that was there would remember it because Golden State was playing OKC, and it was the game Curry hit that half quarter to win it, and it was just crazy because I had the full stat. I was one of the only ones in the field that I had Curry, Westbrook, and Durant, so I went the 3-star route. And it went to overtime. I think, it went to overtime for sure. And one of them fouled out. I think Durant fouled out maybe, Durant or Westbrook fouled out. But so we were going to get double overtime. And going into overtime, I'd climbed into the top 10. And then if Curry misses that half quarter, I was in 5th, I think. So I would have had the 2 stars going to double overtime, and I would have had a chance to win it. But the atmosphere in that 10 at the Playboy Mansion was just absurd that night with the great game going. You got Curry, Westbrook, Durant. I mean, now it's even more interesting knowing that Durant went to Golden State. But, I mean, the atmosphere was just incredible with big shot after big shot after big shot. And it was – I mean, the Playboy Mansion's always fun for those parties anyways. But when you got a great sweat going and the game – I mean, and Curry got hurt in that game too for those of you that were watching it. And for a while, no one was sure he would even come back because he rolled his ankle pretty good. And, I mean, he was probably 30 or 40% owned in that live final. So a lot of people, including me, were really, really depressed. And then he came back, and it was just a crazy ride. And, I mean, all the finals are great fun, and that's one of the reasons of going for them is just the fun you have hanging out with your buddies and hoping to win a bunch of money. But that was probably my favorite.
I love live finals. I've been to 5 now. I like them that you just get to put names with faces, man. Me and you chatted. We went to the Playboy Mansion for baseball last year, and we had that party on that Friday night that was actually at the Playboy Mansion, studio type thing. And, like, it was a cool atmosphere. It wasn't one of the best ones we've had when we went to a live final, but it was just cool to be able to chat. And, that's where we ended up talking, and we started talking about LeBron. And for people that don't know, like, you're a huge, huge LeBron James fan.
Yeah, I mean, last year, I mean, those of you that follow me on Twitter and those of you who know me, I mean, I've ran my mouth for 2 years about LeBron and the Cavs taking down this Warriors team. And I was just so disappointed 2 years ago when all those guys got hurt and LeBron had to play by himself, basically. I mean, he's playing with a bunch of scrubs out there. And even J.R. Smith and Shumpert had just terrible series with the other guys out. And I was just so frustrated because he was clearly the best player in the series. He took him 6 games by himself, and people still were talking trash about how he lost and his record. And so it hurt me deep. And then this year they went down 3-1. Obviously, everyone was rubbing it in again because this year we were at full strength, and I didn't have any excuses really. So it was hurting me deep again, but then it just made it that much sweeter when they dug deep. LeBron was just awesome. Kyrie was awesome. And it was just a great series. I mean, that game 7 was awesome. And to come out on top was just, I mean, it was just one of the best games. And, I mean, best memories of me. I mean, I love sports, and to win a game like that is something I'll never forget.
All right. I don't want to harp on this Cleveland team too much, but is Kevin Love good or is he bad?
I think he's good. Like, I'll take it one step further though and say, I mean, basketball is all about matchups. I mean, anyone that watches the NBA or been around it at all realizes how important matchups are. Like, if they would have played OKC in the finals, I think people would have a different perspective of Love. Like, it's just a matchup game. Like, he can't match up with Golden State at all. Like, he just doesn't do it. But if he would have played against the Spurs and Duncan and Aldridge and guys like that, like, I think people would appreciate him for what he is. Like, he just can't defend anybody that can move. So, like, he can guard Duncan. He can guard Aldridge even. I mean, Aldridge isn't crazy fast or anything. So, I think it's just more matchups. Obviously not versus Golden State, but he did come up with a huge stop on Curry at the end of that game. And I think, what are they calling it, the stop or something? I'm sure that just kills Golden State fans, seeing Love stop him with the game on the line.
All right, so first thoughts here for NBA season. Can Cleveland win the East again, and can they beat the super team Golden State has bought? I'm not even gonna let's just be honest. They bought their championship this year.
First of all, I'm just so disappointed that Durant went there. I mean, it has nothing to do with me liking Cleveland. Just as a basketball fan, like, Durant and Westbrook had that team beat. Like, they were up 3-1 in Game 6 at home, Western Conference Finals last year. They had the game won. I mean, Klay Thompson went nuts for the Warriors, but they just really collapsed. And I'm just so disappointed that he gave up on it. And, I mean, what if LeBron went to Golden State after they lost to him? Like, he would have – I don't even want to know what would happen. Like, people have talked trash about Durant, but nothing like what would have happened to LeBron. Like, LeBron went to Miami, but that wasn't the team that just beat him. That would have been like LeBron going to Boston after Boston had been beating him in the playoffs. Like, but anyways, back to the original point, like, it is what it is. I'm glad he went there because it just makes it more of a challenge. And they're still basically right around even money to win it, Golden State. Obviously, they're the favorite. If they get into the playoffs and stay healthy, I think they win it. But every time this happens like this and a super team forms, what happens? Like, someone gets hurt or something happens. It never takes fruition and actually just they win 80 games or go crazy and win the title. It just doesn't seem to ever happen that way, does it?
No, it's just I'm so frustrated. Like, just as a basketball fan, like, why step in and say no? Like how do you let 3 stars play together? And technically, you could almost say, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. Like, it technically could be 4 guys.
Oh, it's definitely 4 stars. Like, it's for sure 4 stars. Like. Yeah. People might not consider Draymond a star, but if you take Draymond off that team, they're not winning the title. Like, if Draymond gets hurt and knocked out for the year somehow, they're not winning the title. I don't care if they have Durant, Clay, and Curry. There's no way they win the title without Draymond because they got no size. And Draymond's the one guy that can give LeBron a little bit of troubles because he can play underneath, body him up. I mean, you saw what happened when he didn't play in Game 5. Like, there was no rim protection. Kyrie and LeBron just lived in the paint, getting easy bucket. And this year's even more so with no Bogut, no Harrison Barnes. I will say that about Golden State. Like, I do. Obviously, they're better. Obviously, they're the favorite. I'm not saying they're not in any way, but if they do come down with an injury, they have a lot less depth now. And with no Bogut and no Barnes, I mean, that's 2 rotation guys for one. So I think they're a lot thinner than people realize. And a lot of people are talking about this McCall from out of UNLV, and he's talented, but I'm still not sold that he can do it at this level.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's just going to be something that, like we just talked about with, like, baseball, a guy coming out of the minors. Just have to see sometimes. So we'll have to see how that plays out. A lot of talk in the industry about the late swap thing. Like, you're a guy that does this for a living, but you also have a family with kids. What's your thoughts on DraftKings taking away late swap and adding the multi-position eligibility back?
I mean, I'm a strong believer on one side of it, and that is I've never played on DraftKings. I'll just say it. Like, I've always been a FanDuel guy. I've never played on DraftKings because I hate late swap. Like you said, I'm on the computer all day doing articles and shows and making teams and researching and just doing what we do, being a DFS pro or whatever you want to call it, a DFS, whatever.
You do it for a living. You're a DFS player for a living. Yeah, let's take away this whole. I'm just so sick of hearing like pros and like
whatever you want to call it.
Like, we do this for a living. We're a DFS player. That's what we are. Like, if you want to mark us as pro, like, you're ranked in the top 50 in the in the United States in DFS. Like, what do you want to be called? Like, you're a DFS player. That's what you are.
I just want to make money and just play DFS. They can call me whatever they want.
Rant over. Let's talk more late swap real quick.
Yeah, so back to the original point. We have families, we have wives. Like, we're on the computer all day already, 7 days a week. I mean, most of us. I never take a day off. Like, you could ask my wife. I haven't taken a day off besides just natural off days, like the All-Star break for NBA. I just don't take off days. So when 7 o'clock comes and lineups lock, like, I want to be done for the night because I'm still going to watch the games and sweat the games while I'm hanging out with the kids and stuff. But I can't be monitoring for injuries and all that kind of stuff. And since I know it gives an edge to people sitting on the computer all night, I just don't play it. Like, I don't play on DraftKings because of that. Like, I know when I don't have an edge, I'm not just going to give money away by people that can sit there and even when you're like playing head-to-heads, they can see if you're beating them, they can see how much salary you got left, who you're playing, and sub out and get an edge that way. So I'm just a huge – I hate late swap, and I'm just so happy that they took it away. I know some people don't like it, but I'm guessing the people that don't like it aren't people with family. Nothing against them. I mean, whatever people want to do, but I don't see how anybody with a family could hate taking it away. Like, sure, you might lose a little edge. Sure, you're going to lose a little edge, but I'm fine with giving up a little edge for more quality of life with the family.
And just quality of life in general. Like, nobody wants to sit on Twitter for 3 hours. Like, we do it here for you at Roto Grinders. We have the DFS alerts. Don't get me wrong. We've made it where it comes straight to your phone. But when you're playing any type of volume or just playing in general, you want to be able to make moves when you get that news. And just like when the late swap, it's just done. And it's just like, all right, I'm done. I can, check my phone in 3 hours, see where I'm at. Like, do I need to sweat anything? And just like enjoy time with the family, enjoy just watching the games and try to pick up on stuff. So
a lot of people think they lose the edge. I just don't get it, I guess. Like, on FanDuel, they've never had late swap. Like, sure, you're going to have an injury. You're going to have a late scratch during NBA, but I'm under the belief, like, it's going to happen to everybody. It's going to level out over the course of the season, and you just need to remember those times when you're on the good side of it too, and everyone else has a late scratch and you don't, and you win that night. Like, remember that. So that when it happens to you on the bad side, you say, oh, but last week I swept the board because of the late scratch. I mean, I've always loved FanDuel mainly because of the late swap or the non-late swap, I should say. And I'm just so excited about it.
One thing that I've noticed, and you've been doing, I cannot believe that I've been doing this since 2009. I have a FanDuel account. When we were at the Playboy Mansion, I had the oldest FanDuel account. Props to me. But so the thing that I've noticed more than ever, and I told myself I wasn't going to talk about this too much, but the thing that I've noticed this year in football is we're seeing really high ownership on guys in great matchups and guys that are talked about a lot on ESPN and thing like that. If a guy's in a good spot, regardless, I like him. If he's in a good spot and I project him to score a lot of points, how much do you weigh ownership percentages in NFL in tournaments and cash games? What's your general thoughts on this?
For NFL, I just play the guys I like. I mean, even if someone's over-owned, they're still only going to be 30%. I mean, depending on the value. If it's an extreme value guy, I mean, it could be high, but for the most part, I don't worry about it. And then this week, for example, I went all in on Drew Brees, and he was 11% owned in tournaments, high-stakes tournaments. And, I mean, for the highest total at home with a monster floor, a monster ceiling, to be 11% owned just tells me, just play the guys you like. And sure, if they're high owned, they're high owned, but you're going to differentiate at least I am. You're going to differentiate in other spots to where you can make up for the high ownership. But I couldn't have imagined if I thought Breeze was going to be high owned and I didn't play him for some reason, and then I saw 11%, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself.
Have we just gotten to the point with football in general, basketball and baseball, there's an edge to try to guess ownership percentages still. Have we gotten to the point with football where it's just come to the point where you just play the best team you can make?
That's exactly my point exactly. I've been doing it too this year, and it's been good for me. Sure, you still want to differentiate. You still want to play the combos you like and stuff, but literally don't worry about ownership. There hasn't been a single time this year that I've told myself he's going to be too high owned, don't play him. Sure, I still think about it. I mean, I thought Breeze would be 30% this week, 25, 30%. But I still played him just because I thought he was the best play. And then when I saw that 11%, I about fell out of the chair. I knew it was going to be a good week just by that percentage.
Yeah, I'm having one of my best football seasons in cash games this year, just not even worrying about ownership. There was times in the past couple of years where I was like, man, maybe I'll get a block with this guy, and I don't love him. But, I'm building my favorite lineups now and not even caring about ownerships. And, I have had really good success in cash games this year. Tournaments, I don't know, man. Tournaments have been good or bad throughout the year for me, baseball and football. It's just been one of those years where you're a tournament player and you're going to have those up and down days. Just real quick to piggyback onto that. So this past week, I know you've seen the talk about Team Chalk, Team MG. I know you think it's hilarious. You love picking on CJ as much as you can, which
of course. I mean, don't we all?
Yeah, it's all in good fun. So this past week, they complained a lot about us playing a chalky lineup.
Which it wasn't. In my opinion, it wasn't anyways. I mean, you guys played LaFell. LaFell wasn't a chalk play.
LaFell, Breeze, you just got done talking about Breeze. I didn't think he was going to be the cash game quarterback this week. Regardless of that, but I feel like it goes more to the pricing than anything else. The pricing this week priced it where you could play 3 stud running backs, and in cash games, if you play a flex as a running back, you're hiring your floor. And it just made it where it was hey, pricing set me up to do this. And so I just love getting on their, their nerves. But technically,
yeah, I mean, they're just making excuses. They need to step up to the plate and get a W. Who cares if you're playing chalk? Who cares? You beat them. That's all that matters. Just say scoreboard like they did in baseball.
Yeah. And what's really crazy about this Kansas City Pittsburgh game 2 weeks ago where Kelsey caught that touchdown with 2 seconds to go. That's the only reason that they have a win. That's the only reason they have a win. They got a last-second touchdown where a game was a blowout. So, if I was them, I'd be worried about, their roster construction more than our lineup.
Yeah, they need to worry about themselves for sure. I mean, they need to get on the board with a W. They got that scrub time touchdown, like you said, but I mean, that's disappointing. They were an early favorite just because of their cash game expertise, but I mean, the line and the public is slowly shifting on to Team Crazy a little bit.
We played LaFell and Cash, and with Tavon Austin, and these guys are giving us a hard time.
And like those guys weren't chalky plays. Just because you won doesn't mean you had a chalky team.
No, I'll take the W. I'll let them complain all they want, and
Absolutely.
all right. So this week sets up. I know you don't research. You were talking to me about it before we got on. You start Wednesday, Thursday, really digging into stuff. First thing I noticed about this week, running back is really weak, and it's setting up as a great tournament slate. So if they lose this week, they're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta like your guys' chances when they start making excuses and blaming each other and blaming plays and saying you guys are chalky. I mean, that's what losers do. I mean, losers make excuses. Winners just get the job done, and I'm worried for them a little bit. I got on them today on Twitter. They got to pick their game up.
They sure do. Last week, you finished third in the morning grind free roll over on rosters.com. If you guys haven't checked out our sponsor, rosters.com, make sure you head on over there. Use that promo code grinders. If you deposit $10, you get an instant $40 on rosters.com. So if you haven't checked them out, now's the time to check them out because, hey, when you get free money, take advantage of it. That's one thing that we've learned in this industry. It's just not something that you get very often. So if you want to check out a new site, definitely check that out. You try to ruin my free roll, man. You try to take it down on me.
I've been on that rosters for a few weeks, and I like the layout. They have an app that's really nice. Like, I know they sponsor the show, so it sounds like we're just plugging it. But I mean, I haven't been on the podcast, and I've been playing it, and I love the site. I mean, I've been successful on it. I like I said, I love the layout. I love the app. They got a ton of different games. I mean, you can play all the normal stuff, 50-50s. They have a $300 tournament every week, a $300 single entry for the people that like higher stuff. I mean, they have a lot of options for a new site, and I really like it. I just happened to see that morning grind thing on there. I wanted to ship it, though. I came up short.
Yeah, if you would have shipped it, it would just played right into that hot streak you've been riding. That's all. I just wrote it off as that.
I thought I had a chance going into that last game. Like, I was in range if Vinatieri went off, and Vinatieri did have a good game, but unfortunately – Lamar Miller went nuts too, so someone passed me, or two people.
So do you like kickers or you hate kickers? You think kickers should be taken out or you think kickers are great?
I mean, I hear the Siege talk about how there's a skill to it, and I don't think there's a skill to it. Anyone can go look at the totals and indoors and all that stuff, but there's still just so much luck in it. Like, last week, Novak was in a great spot for cheap. And, I mean, there's so much luck in it. I think defenses and kickers, there's a lot of luck in. I mean, Philadelphia gets 2 touchdowns this week. Like, there's just so much variance and luck in the kickers and defenses that – I mean, I'm fine with having it, though. It is fantasy football, and I'm fine with a little variance built in. But I definitely don't think there's skill in kicker like some people do.
Would you, if FanDuel or DraftKings were to offer a game where you just play skill players, do you think it'd be popular?
I think people would like it. I mean, obviously it would depend on if they were all like that and the big prize pools were that way, but who's going to mind if they get rid of defense and kicker? Like, I can't imagine anyone would miss those positions.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't hate it. I don't hate kickers or defense.
I'm kind of like you. Like, I don't mind it, especially on FanDuel. Like, I don't mind playing a kicker, and it gives you the thing that's nice about it. Like we always talk about, like if you play a chalky lineup, you can play a different lineup just by playing a different kicker and defense, and really get your different look. And in tournaments, who knows? Maybe you're the one that hits the defense that goes nuts, or the kicker that goes nuts, and all of a sudden your chalky lineup is the nuts because of that.
Yeah, for sure. I build a cash optimal lineup each week, and I'll mix a defense and kicker on like 5 or 6 different teams to throw it into a tournament to be a little different. But no, I agree. The thing that I like about kickers, and the reason that I hope they never get rid of kickers, is because like people just don't look at the weather, and they'll take kickers in games like we've seen in Baltimore. Like Tucker was like 8% owned like 2 weeks ago, and it's just amazing to me. So like
you're right about that. I think I am wrong about that aspect. Like, I don't ever account for how many people just really don't pay attention as much as they should and just randomly play just dead awful picks. Like you said, a kicker in a windstorm. Like, you saw those videos that day. Like, there was flags blowing over and nets blowing over, and somebody's going to play a kicker in that game. Like, so there is a lot of edge. That's where the edge could be. Not necessarily playing the optimal, but having people play kickers that have no business being played.
before I let you go, it's been really fun just, chatting and, getting to know a little bit about, the guy behind the mask of Big T. Behind the mask, we were talking a little bit before we got started, and are you a wrestling fan, or are you just happy to see Goldberg back? Like, let's talk real quick.
I mean, I've always, growing up in high school and stuff, I liked it a lot. Like during the Rock and Stone Cold years.
Yes, that was when wrestling was good.
And the NWO was like my all-time favorite. Like I loved all of that era. And then, I mean, it's been pretty stale lately, but I record it every week, and it'll be like the thing when I'm writing my articles on Wednesdays. Like I'll just turn it on the TV and just have it in the background. Like I'm not necessarily into it, but I still pay attention to what's going on. And yeah, when I seen Goldberg come out, though, that was kind of exciting.
So have you ever been to a live wrestling event?
Oh, yeah. Well, every time I go to an event, I mean, this is not to brag or anything, but I just buy nice tickets. Like, I'm not going to go and sit in the rafters, put it that way. So, yeah, it came to Denver a couple years ago, and I got online to look, and it was only like $500 to sit right on the rope, like first row, like you could reach out and touch the people. And $500, it sounds like I'm being a snob or whatever, but that seemed cheap to me to sit right there. So I just did it, and it was an awesome experience. Me and my buddy went in front row, and it was the one where the camera was shooting straight on us. So the entire night you just saw us sitting in that front row, and it was pretty cool. Hold our sign up, and it was a good time.
I don't think you sound like a snob at all, my friend. Like,
I mean, some people though are like, "Oh, well, he's $500 to sit in the wrestling," but I mean, I'm not saying it to do that. I'm just saying if I'm going to sit up top, I'd rather just watch it on TV.
No, and I agree. I went to WrestleMania, was in Orlando, and like I got lucky and won tickets like 10 rows up from the ring, so it was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, especially for WrestleMania.
It was nuts, man. Awesome. So, but like, if people are listening to this pod and they're getting to know Big T, like, I think they can understand like how humble you really are. Like, you're having a stretch here for like 2 months, and I don't think you posted a screenshot on Twitter. If you have, it hasn't been enough. Like,
I don't like posting the screenshots and stuff, and it just goes back to the original point. Like, I believe in the grind. I believe in just having fun with it and working your hardest in the process. And sure, I'm thrilled to be having the success that I've had in the industry, and just to be really high right now. But I don't need to be posting screenshots and stuff. Like, I'm confident in what I do, and I don't need the results to feel good about what I do. And I certainly don't need to be like showing people, oh, I won this, or I did this, or I mean, because who knows when the luck changes and all of a sudden you're losing this and that. And I'm not posting screenshots when I'm losing either. So it's just one of those things that I think you need to stay humble and just keep working hard and do what you do.
All right, before you go, if you had to tomorrow stop playing golf or stop playing cornhole, which one would you do?
Oh, that's a hard call, because like cornhole is more of like you're hanging out, you're drinking with your buddies, or have a family get together and you just play. So like I'd probably give up golf before cornhole, just because you do it so many times at like barbecues. And I mean, but golf's kind of a thing. I don't know. That's a tough call. I'd probably give up golf though.
Best of 3 series, playing golf, cornhole, and darts. Me and you, who wins? Well, you got to remember.
Darts, you're a lock. Cornhole, I'm a lock. And golf,
one thing that I will say about cornhole, you have to remember, I'm from Florida.
You're not going to win at cornhole, though.
Oh, I don't know. I've gotten me.
You're not going to win at cornhole, and I'm not going to win at darts. So I mean, it's going to come down to golf, and I got to be at least a little bit of a favorite. I don't know. I have no idea your golf game, but I have to be at least a slight favorite in the match. But not near as big a favorite as I would be over Hoop. I mean, we've been talking about it for months. Like, Hoop thinks he's going to beat me at basketball. Like, that's just disgraceful, Hoop. Like, you have zero shot. Like, I just talked about being humble, but I'm not humble in my match versus Hoop. He's done.
Well, Hoop did a lot of podcasts when we were baseball, and he always talked about getting Big T bucks. So
how'd that work out for him?
I think Big T ended up on top of that. And, a couple weeks ago you had a really big week, but you said the biggest thing for you that week was beating Crane and Britt Devine in the 3-man draft on.
You didn't hear about that story, though, did you?
Well, the hurricane was happening, so.
I posted that screenshot on a Sunday night, and I didn't realize that Brett had a player left.
Oh
So I
no.
ended up losing on Monday. He beat me and ended up rubbing it in even more.
Oh, that's the worst screenshot. That's why you don't post screenshots, Tony.
I know I had the sickest week ever that week and posted a screenshot premature and didn't even ended up winning.
Oh man, that's rough. But you would definitely beat me in basketball. I think I would destroy you in golf.
In golf, oh, we got to do it then.
We'll play some.
The triathlon, anyways, like whatever it's called, not triathlon, but get like a bunch of DFS guys and literally play everything, like play cornhole, golf, bowling, darts, like just get like 10 games, almost like the Olympics, and just see who comes out on top.
Yeah, that'd be fun. There's only one ever Roto Grinders bowling champions, and it's me and Roto Kevin. Just so you know ahead of time.
I love it. I mean, people would love that. Like everyone put in like $100 and we can get a trophy, and people would absolutely love that. We could broadcast it on the Grinders Live, and I mean, I think people would love that.
It would mean no money to me. I would just want to win. Like, like I could care less about the money. I would want the bragging rights and the trophy more than anything. Like you can have the money.
Seriously, for like NBA All-Star Week when nothing's going on, like we should seriously set it up where we all go to wherever, the freaking mountains somewhere or the beach or anywhere. We all meet up and just do it all.
Yeah, don't say anything to my girlfriend about NBA All-Star. I've been told that I better book a hotel in the Keys somewhere for the NBA All-Star break.
That's always the week that all the wives want to book.
Yes, yeah. So it can't be that weekend, but I'm down to do it. Tony, it's been a lot of fun, man. I'm glad that like got to meet. Me and you met a couple years ago. It's been fun talking to you. You know, we've become good little buddies. So, it's always good to have friends in this industry. And I'm glad that you were able to come on and, give a little bit of thoughts behind bankroll management, hot and cold streaks, and just, talking about your DFS experience, my friend.
Yeah, and everyone out there too needs to check out that product you got going with this NASCAR. I mean, I just keep hearing good things about it, and nice work with that. It's real good work out of you, and not again, I'm not plugging it, but I just keep hearing good things. So keep up the good work, my friend.
All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate that, and we'll be back tomorrow with the NFL morning grind podcast, and good luck in just taking a day off and enjoying time for yourself or research for football or whatever you're going to do here on this Wednesday. Hope you guys enjoyed the Big T interview, and we'll see you again tomorrow.